So I just got finished recording another YouTube video, and the moment I finish, one of my friends sends me a video, Jordan B. Peterson, talking about why men should always dress up. Now, I never thought that Jordan Peterson will be giving out style advice, but oh my God, I really want to react to this. I haven't watched the video, but I thought we'd have a little bit of fun, because I have no idea if this is absolute gold or garbage. But I am a Jordan Peterson fan. His work and his content has helped me out in the past, so that is my little bit of bias going into this. Am I going to be biased with this video right here? I don't know. We shall see. Let's get into that.
Stop being so nice to women.
I agree.
I've done 7 tour lectures so far, and with an average audience size of about 2,500, and they're going great. They're unbelievably positive. Almost everybody dresses up, which I think is really cool.
Really?
Yeah, well, when I went out on tour in 2018, before I went out, I thought I wanted to do this like 100% right, or at least as close to that as I could manage. So I went out and bought some expensive suits.
Nice.
I spent way more money on, this is one of them actually.
You look great, by the way.
Based.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Way more money than I ever thought I'd spend on clothes. And I really felt quite bad about it. You know, I thought maybe it was an extravagance, but I thought, no way, man, I'm going to see if I can nail this dead on. And I'm going to be speaking to, 100,000 people. I'm going to look as sharp as I possibly can. And one of the consequences of that has been that young men in particular come to the lecture tour dressed up in suits, 3-piece suits. Or the couples come and they're dressed up like they're coming to a wedding. So that's really something. And
Why do you think that is? Is it because you set that
they're
standard?
sick of acting like kids.
Okay.
Our whole culture pushes the idea that teenage life, or even childhood for that matter, but teenage life is some sort of pinnacle, and then everybody dresses down so they look, especially men, they look like overgrown 10-year-olds, and there's something extremely demeaning about that. And so to provide people with the opportunity to...
He's kind of onto something there. Like, how many times you would hear in your life that, like, oh, high school and college, like, those are the best days of your life, and then, like, the teenage angst and the rebelliousness, that's, like, your pinnacle of your life. And I can see why guys, like, I'll see, like, fathers out with their kid and everything, and they're, like, wearing, like, a Spider-Man t-shirt and, like, jeans and whatnot, and I'm just like, if you're going to be a role model for, your offspring and the next generation to be, you want to see, like, this is what a grown man should dress like. I'm more so on the suit side, obviously. I'm not going to be wearing a Spider-Man t-shirt from Walmart, some Wrangler jeans, and some hiking boots is, like, a fit, but I get what I mean. It's just like, how many times have you put on a good outfit together? Let's say you were overdressed and you just feel great about yourself. Like, we need more of that. We need more of overdressing just for the sake of because you feel like it. Just be based about it.
dress up in a classic manner and to look like adults, to present themselves in that manner. There's something very attractive about that because we haven't done that in our culture. That's been, I would say, downplayed in importance or certainly since the 1960s.
Who's to blame for that? Because you recall, anytime you would fly in an airplane, if you see old school pictures, people were dressed in three-piece suits to go on an airplane. This is in the 60s, I assume. And then now you see someone like Mark Zuckerberg wear a T-shirt to give a speech in front of a TED Talk or something like that. So
well,
who's to blame for this dress
Some
down?
of it's just fashion, you know. I mean, fashion moves around, and then it usually drifts from the top down. And so when formality becomes the norm, but that drifts down, say, to the working class, then the upper class thinks, well, we can't do that because that would, associate us with the unfashionable people, and then they dress down, and so then that drifts down the hierarchy. And so there's some of it's just fashion, but a lot.
Yeah, and with stuff, with just in the general fashion sake, like stuff is very cyclical. Like every 20, 30 years, like a lot of the styles will come back. I know there's always going to be a big divide of people saying something looks dated or from the 70s or 80s, but if you give it enough years, that style comes back in and it's hot. Late 2010s, what did we see? A lot of the 90s fashion stuff came back in. A lot of times now you see a little bit more of the 70s and 80s, like a lot of the flared pants, a little bit more high-rise pants, florals, real open-chested. A lot of people from an older generation would say that's dated. A lot of people from a younger generation would say that's in style right now. It's a lot of cyclical nature of it. But this whole thing about, trickling down from, the societal elite and basically your one percenters, it kind of makes sense that they don't want to have this association with our general plebeians. But let's see what else he has. So far, I agree. Nothing too hot of a take right now.
Part of it, too, is this idea that this sort of reflexive, rebellious attitude that anything that violates traditional norms or even anything that's associated with patriarchal oppression and adulthood is to be eliminated in favor of what's hypothetically a more free individuality, but it's not, because everybody looks the same. I was in Washington 4 or 5 years ago.
Very interesting point. You can see that like people think a lot of their style that's a little bit more hipster, skater, or edgy is being rebellious and so counterculture, when how many people look the same, how many pieces of content are out there for people to dress like that. It's very hard to be rebellious and stand off if you have an entire generation doing it. Then that actually becomes the norm, and maybe going into something more like classic menswear would actually be more rebellious than just the quote-unquote typical rebellious skater hipster style that you see.
Well, maybe longer than that. It's probably longer than that. When I first went in the summer, and one of the things that really struck me, all these people wandering around these great monuments, is all the men looked like overgrown 10-year-olds. They looked exactly like their kids, except they were bigger. They looked like they'd been inflated with a bicycle pump. And I thought, this is weird that adult...
Sorry. I don't know why that's so funny, but like there's a bunch of men who look like overgrown 10-year-olds. That's weird. It is. It's just something like in my monkey brain that doesn't comprehend grown-ass men dressing like a third grader.
Adults are dressing like children and not good. And so some of it's fashion, but some of it's also that.
Is it exclusive in America? How about in Canada? What have you seen all over the world with this?
No, I don't.
I've lived in Toronto for 20 years now. Well, I'm 24, so you can do the math there. I've been here my whole life. Pretty much U.S. and Canada fashion culture-wise, pretty much the same for the most part.
I think it's exclusive to America. I think it was more noticeable to me in Washington, and I think that's when it really hit me, because Washington is, in some sense, a place of pilgrimage, and people from every class go there, and that's a good thing, and they should, from every economic class. And so it was like it was a real cross-section of the total population, and that was one of the things that struck me quite bluntly. And so, anyways, it's very nice to see all these people dressed up. And
when you hear the argument being made, it's the following argument. The argument is, look, you only have so much energy to make so many decisions throughout your day. Do you want to be in front of the closet in the morning, picking and choosing what suit I'm going to wear to tie with what shirt and what tie? You know what? I'd much rather not consume my energy thinking about what outfit to put together. It's a lot easier to just have a white shirt, jeans, regular tennis shoes, and go to work, and let me make the bigger decisions while I'm running the company.
That is a valid point, but if you just take a necessary amount of time to learn a few fundamental principles about style, you're not wasting that much time in a day. This whole, I'll just get a t-shirt and jeans and this and that, that's great and all. But then again, it just kind of blends into everything that they were mentioning before. And honestly, picking out a decent outfit in a suit is not that much mental brain power. If you think it's hard to coordinate a black suit, it usually isn't, because when you usually purchase any suit, all the coordination there is done for you. So you can always stick to that more uniform-like style. And I'm pretty sure you have enough brain power to make important decisions.
Never felt bad not wearing a suit. Every time I've had a suit on, I felt better than just walking on with a t-shirt on, even though the t-shirt is a lot easier to do. It's a lot easier. Even when you were in the military, it felt good having your greens on, having your BDU on. There was something very attractive about having a suit on. Not for the audience, just even for yourself. Mm-hmm. You felt good having a uniform on. I don't know.
Yeah, well,
exactly. That's what I was mentioning before. If you, let's say, get dressed very, well put together, a suit, a military uniform, stuff that you wear that makes you feel great and confident for yourself, not just for, the outward attention of it, then continue to do it. It's an important thing. If you want to feel like, I'm overdressed, I'm this or that, but it makes you feel great, ignore all that other stuff. If it makes you feel confident, it makes you feel better about yourself, then do it.
I talked to my father about this years ago, because he always wore a suit when he was a teacher. Mm-hmm. He's still alive. He's a teacher. And he always wore a suit. And I asked him why one day, and he said, because it was his way of showing respect for the students. And
Interesting.
I mean, I'm not saying that everyone who doesn't dress in a suit is being disrespectful, but there's something about outfitting yourself for the task at hand. And there's also something about attempting to put some effort into putting your best foot forward. And I don't really buy the it takes more time in the morning argument. It takes a bit more time, but once you, before I went on this tour, I went through all my clothing and I tossed out everything that didn't fit, and which included a number of suits that were old, and I had to organize them, and that took about a day to get my closet in order. But then from then on, it was actually a pleasure in some sense.
Do you do it yourself?
Do I do?
Meaning, like, do you go through your closet, you do it yourself? Like, Pat has a very unique way of, like, you don't pack anymore, Pat, do you? Like, you have someone kind of help you out with that.
Packing is not my strength in my life. I have a lot. That's one of my weaknesses.
No, I still did that for the tour because I had to figure out what I was going to wear. But I've had people help me make clothing decisions, let's say. Now, it's often people who would like to make suits for me. So I have that as an advantage. But I did that pretty much on my own.
So if you enjoyed this little short...
Overall, I would say that wasn't too bad of a hot take. Talking about how, this sort of hipster rebellious style is not really counterculture anymore, because if everyone does it, it's now the status quo and the norm, and how this more traditional menswear or just traditional classic style in a way is more rebellious because you're going against this sort of like very chill, laid back, laissez-faire approach is really good. And I just think, if you're dressing up and you're quote unquote being overdressed all the time for everything, as long as if it makes you happy and it makes you feel confident and you're presenting your best foot forward, then continue to do it. Sometimes it's those little things that you need to really get a spark and kind of get the ball rolling for, making important decisions, going about your day, going about your professional life. Actually, surprisingly good. I was ready for a few goofs and gaffs and giggles over here, but overall, pretty solid advice. Nothing too controversial here. Who would have thought? If you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like, comment your opinion down below. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more style and self-improvement content.